but it did do it. All right. Okay. Well, that's not working. All right. God Morgan, my friends, and happy Freyja's Day to you. I pray that today finds you ready, ready for our weekend, and ready, of course, for the rejuvenation and kind of the recharging of our batteries. You know, it's been a pretty long week, right? And so here we are, ready for the weekend. Before we get started today, I want to give a shout out again, as always, to my wonderful family and friends at New Reality TV, a, a beautiful kaleidoscope of perspectives that can help you along your journey, whether it be for your spiritual path and understanding and growth, or that piece of intellect that'll help us to reestablish our strength and our our growth in our mental health. So there is so much that can be found there at New Reality TV. I hope you will join me. Subscribe, take a look at the kaleidoscope, the beautiful pictures therein of course, many different perspectives of our spiritual path. I hope you will check them out. You will not be disappointed. As always, I want to give a shout out to my website and certainly to my friends who have supported me, whether in mind, body, or spirit, and offer us a wonderful product or a wonderful service that you can benefit from. So be sure to check them out at NorseWhispers.com, our dash friends. Wonderful collection of individuals. Finally, also, I want to give a shout out to NorseWhispers.com/coaching for those of you who need to bend an ear, get a different perspective, maybe see things from a little different way. Check it out. I'm always available to help out new people. And finally, I want to say, for those of you who may have a few extra coins laying around the house, put them to good use. Donate them, support this stream, and as always, we will use them to the best of our ability to find and help all of those individuals whom we come in contact with. So, by all means, you can hit the tip jar there and donate those coins, put them to a good use. So, today we're talking about Freyja and the magic of Freyja. Now, many people think, oh, well, she was the goddess of love and war, and they follow the books about what Freyja meant to the Norse, to all of those people. And I think they're missing the greatest gift that Freyja offered us, particularly those of us here on Midgard, is that Freyja knew energy movement. She could manipulate energies on the spiritual realm, on the physical realm, together to help them to grow, to help them work in the right direction. And this meant for healing, for growth, for understanding, for harmony, for peace, for many different things. Now, many say, well, she was the goddess of love and war. How could those two are simply just the extremes, if you will, of an energy source, a movement of energy through the universe. All of our emotions are created by energy. Even our memories are created by our body creating energy, right? So our energy, the optic nerve is if we have a view or something we see, the optic nerve creates a bioelectricity that transmits our sight to our brain for memory, for storage. Along the way, as you all know, it passes through these emotional filters. Now, understanding, firstly and foremost, that these emotional filters exist allows us to kind of begin to wrap our minds around controlling this energy, to kind of being more in charge of instead of a victim of. Okay? So we begin to take more of a controlling role, right, in the energy movement. This is the same thing that can be said about the study of magic. Now, Freyja, one of the other gifts that she would go on to give both those of us on Midgard as well as the gods, Odin included, was the gift of magic, understanding magic. Well, magic is simply the movement of energy. That's what it is. It's the controlled, focused movement of energy towards manifestation. Okay, so magic could be receiving an energy symbol or signal that says hate and discontent and division, and deciding within our own mind to change that energy and to just love and seek harmony. By changing that energy, we have the ability to do that. Now, many people ask me, well, how do we do this? Well, you simply want it. When we want peace, when we want harmony, when we want joy, when we want love, we'll do that. We have to want it, and in some cases, we may have to want it bad enough that our brain focuses on it. Now, remember, several shows ago, we were talking about hobbies, and we said, when we focus on our hobby, whatever it is, right, and we focus on it, we notice that time just goes by, lickety split, right? We don't even pay attention, and it's just several hours later, and we're like, wow, where did the time go? It's because you focused your energy, and when we are focusing that energy, time has no meaning. Remember, time is simply a construct of the physical realm. It's, more importantly, it's the construct of the industrial world. So, if you back up to those days before industry, before we had work hours, before everyone was working for everyone else, we saw there really was no need for time. So we have a very different perspective of time passages. Well, here we are in the modern day, and we are enjoying our hobby, whatever that may be, and we're realizing the more we focus on this hobby, what we're doing, the more time slips away. It just goes. This is the concentration of energies. That's what the concentration of energies has the capabilities of doing. It doesn't work on someone else's timeline. It doesn't work in an 8-hour work day, right? It just doesn't do that. Energy, when we're focusing it, works on its own timeline. Okay? So, very critical that we understand that the more we begin to absorb or figure out the control of this energy, the manipulation of this energy, the way we want it, how much time may no longer have as much of a controlling influence in our lives. Okay, so as we look at moving this energy into our mind, manipulating it the way we want, we're going to find more of a ability to really create peace within the mind. And you could do this too. And so when we are faced, as an example, an extreme example, obviously, but if we are faced with a threat, with someone who's being very negative, creating a whole lot of negativity and division towards us, and we're like, whoa, man, we can feel the energy. And what that looks like is, the bullies, those people who are very negative towards us, and they're shouting at us, or they're speaking very poorly towards us. This is negative energy that's just bombarding us. But then within our mind, we say, this is an example, of course, they're just having a bad day. This shifts this incoming energy. When we say that in our mind says, well, we're not going to fully absorb that information, that energy. We're going to kind of shuck it off and move it to the side. Not worry about that for now, right? That's how we do things. We kind of ignore people who are giving us this very negative vibe. So we're pushing away that energy. We're actively managing the energy into our mind, right? People are acting and producing a visual of, of something that we don't want to see or don't care to see. We turn away. We change our focus to something else. This allows us to manage the energy into our mind. Because remember, as this negative energy comes in, it begins a cycle of spinning. And as it spins, it of course is eroding as it goes out, right? So it's kind of growing. And as it's growing, it's converting this neutral energy outside of it, it's converting it to dark, to negative, not dark, negative. So neutral energy becomes negative energy, or neutral energy becomes light energy. So as this negative cycle begins, it's going to erode this neutral energy and creating a much larger negativity, larger and larger and larger and larger, until it consumes us. The good news here is that we have the tool to combat this. An eternal energy source that we can draw upon to stop this negativity in its tracks, reverse the spin, deflect that energy, and get that energy out of us so that we can move forward in a more positive, helpful way. And that energy comes from our spiritual core. Hope. Hope is a very powerful energy, more powerful than any other singular energy source. This is incredibly powerful. A lot of people have told me, "Oh, I have no hope. I surrendered all my hope." Firstly and foremost, that's a very key phrase there, is that we surrender it. It can't be taken from us. There is nothing that can take away hope. All right? So it is ours eternally. Beyond this physical form, we keep hope with us all the time. Hope powers all. Now, think about love as an example as being hope, right? Hope. You hope that you find happiness. You hope that they love you. You hope. You have so many hopes as you engage in the wonderful bonding of love. Okay? Now, conditionally, when we say that you have to love me in return, that's a condition. And kind of defeats the purpose, if you will, of love. But nonetheless, you have these hopes, and these hopes are this energy that are driving us to a place where we kind of get that euphoric feeling, and it's a very wonderful content, comfort that we have being in love. So we have this eternal energy source of hope that can immediately stop negativity. I hope this doesn't affect. I hope that this goes away. I hope that, I don't absorb this. I hope, right? So we're having all these hopes. This hopeful energy is what can change this negative spin immediately. Just like that fast. I hope I can ignore this and go on my own way. Right? So hope is the energy to combat anything. Now, many of us may have other energies that we've already created, this self-value, self-worth. We're focused on the energy of the ancestors. And so these negativities, that's all it is. It's just noise over here. And we're not placing any value in it because we don't want to accept it. Now, this is kind of the next stage of management of this energy. Is, okay. Right? And so have you ever seen in an argument, as an example, one person's very bitter and nasty and mean, and the other person's almost seems to be really ignoring them, just completely not engaged, right? Now, two things are going on. Either A, these people are practicing the understanding of denying energy, or they've mastered it, in which case nothing this person says will ever affect the other person, right? Because they've moved on. Their energy is not worth them investing in, right? So a very critical key here when we're talking about managing energy, being able to recognize what kind of energy we're managing. So the universe all around us always sends neutral energy. So it's simply energy. What we decide to do with it in our own mind is completely up to us, each of us, right? So we can take that energy and we can make it negative and nasty, or we can take that energy and make it love and harmonious and bonding and friendship and all of these things. That choice is ours alone. No one can make that choice for you. Okay, so that's another one of your superpowers, is this idea of choice versus chance, or as I like to call it, choice versus fates. The fates I always I personally associate with a victim mentality. It's this is just what I'm stuck doing. This is just where my lot in life, right? No one has a lot in life. One of the stories that my great grandparents told me as a young boy is, according to the Norse legend, the Norner sisters, which comparatively to the fates of the Greek understanding, the Norner sisters, there were three of them, right? So the oldest skald would define when our spiritual entity bonded with our physical entity, she would establish how long that bond would last. So how long we're going to live, right? And we'd live our life, and then when we left our physical form, we'd go before Skald, of course, being the middle sister, and she would look at a tapestry that was sewn by Verdande would sew a tapestry of our responses, our individual responses throughout our lives. Not our accomplishments, not the events in our lives, not like you would see on the wall at at the Egyptian monuments or whatnot. Not those stories. Not stories like you would find on the Jelling Stone and many other stones, but how we responded. Did our responses to these different experiences, did they, were they aligned with our nine noble virtues, right? Courage, honor, hospitality, industrialness, those types of things. So if our, so that was the tapestry she sewed in our lifetime. When Skald reviewed that, Skald would then make a decision on which of the great halls in Asgard we would reside until, of course, Ragnarok. One of the things that my great grandparents really gave me hope, if you will, about is this idea that the dash, and we call it the dash, and the dash exists between our birth year and our death year, physical birth and physical death. The dash was completely up to us. The gods, the fates, or the Norner sisters, whatever, the giants of that realm and the elves, no one could control your dash except you. You and you alone. You controlled your dash. You controlled the way you responded to the events that occurred in your lives. We can accept them as these traumatic events that then potentially wreak havoc within the mind, or we look at them as challenges to make us better, faster, stronger, whatever, right? So all of these events that occur in our lives, these experiences, are simply energy transmitted from out here, our reality, through our eyes or our ears or nose or mouth or fingertips, right? Through an emotional filter, which releases hormones, which sets the filter again, through the processing in our brain to our memories. Now, our interpretation, our emotional interpretation of that energy, when it's stored in memory, it's stored with our interpretation of this emotion. Okay? Emotion is simply a signature, if you will, on the memory. That way, when we recall it at some point in the future, we recall that memory, we recall with it the emotion that we assign to it. Now, those can be erased, those can be kind of changed, but nonetheless, and they will change when we review them, because remember, we're now looking at that memory through a different emotional filter, because our emotional filters are constantly being changed, right? So these memories are then stored with this emotional signature. When we are sleeping, or little daydream, little break during the day, our consciousness slides back from our physical sensory input, kind of slides back, and it connects then the memories to our spiritual selves. Consider it kind of like a little sliding plate on top of our head here. And when it slides back and it makes connection between our spiritual brain and our memories, okay, that's communicated all the time. It's communicated with the spiritual realm. So all of these other spiritual entities, including the gods, are receiving this information. They're seeing this experience, this event, this thing through your eyes. So they're experiencing your experience of reality. This means they're getting a different perspective on that experience, because all of us, all of those who did this or interacted with this experience or event, all have our own interpretations. We have different emotional filters. We're a different DNA. There's all kinds of differences about us, all right? And therefore, that creates a different interpretation of the experience here in our reality. So we're teaching the gods about this experience, what our interpretation is, different than everyone else's who experienced the same thing or similar thing, right? So the gods are able to then see things and understand things from a much greater perspective. This goes back to my analogy of buying a car. Many of us do not buy a car simply by looking at one view of the car. We attempt to walk around the car, we look inside the car, we look under the engine hood, we may look in the trunk, or if it's a pickup, we may look in the bed of the truck, we look underneath, we see the suspension, and we look. Whether we know what we're looking for or not is almost irrelevant to the conversation. What's relevant here is that we look at the vehicle, the car that we're going to buy, we look at it from multiple views. Well, this should be the same way we look at all of our different experiences in this lifetime. Having one narrow perspective of an event, an experience, limits our understanding of how this fits into the much bigger thing we call reality. So being able to say, okay, this is one perspective. What's it look like over here? And what's it look like over here? And what's it look like over here? All of these different perspectives allows us to see this idea, this experience, this event from a different angle. Gives us more of an overview of this. So super critical when we have these experiences that we're struggling to understand and we're struggling to find the value in. Look at it from a different perspective and kind of change angles a little bit and see if things don't make any more sense. Right? So today, excuse me, waking up. Today, as we celebrate Freyja's Day, I want us to think about moving energy in and out, in and out. And the energy that's coming in, we're going to be cognizant of. We're going to start recognizing, wait a minute, that's something I do want to see, that's something I don't. That's something I do want to hear, that's something I don't. But recognizing the energies that don't align to you, that don't. Remember, things that we have, that we obtain, should bring us comfort, joy, peace, harmony. It should fit in within that limit. Remember, of course, all things being kind of towed up to our line of congruence and our authentic self. And if this energy that we're receiving doesn't align to that, discard it, ignore it, make it go away in your mind. And you can do that. You have, again, the massive, powerful energy of hope within you. So use that to your advantage. All right? All right, my friends. Saturday, Sunday, March 29th and 30th, New Reality TV is having a summit. A wonderful summit with a bunch of wonderful speakers, myself included, who are going to offer many different perspectives about helping us move through our physical lives. I hope that you will join us. You can go to their webpage, okay? Go to their webpage, register for the summit, register for the event, and join us on Saturday and Sunday, March 29th and 30th, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, going till 7 p.m. Eastern Time each day, with a bunch of different perspectives that I think can help us take that next step in our spiritual journey. All right. So be sure to join us online. It's all online, by the way. So you can join wherever you are. You don't even have to be dressed. You can sit there in your jammies and watch all the presenters as they present many different wonderful perspectives to help us along on our journey. All right. So join us for that. And if you have any questions, if something is still driving, pushing you in a direction, visit my website, NorseWhispers.com. There you can find a place where we can begin a dialogue, you and I, and we can find some answers. All right? Have a wonderful Freyja's Day. Have a wonderful weekend. We will see you again Mani's Day, where we will begin our week off with the charge of energy we need to be successful.